So welcome everyone. So today I got this really old Dowidat wrench. So the wrench is about, it looks like just under 20 inches long, exactly 500 millimeters. And it's a 3/4 inch drive, and it's actually one of the push-through styles. And as you can tell, it's not a fine-tooth ratchet. It's probably got the biggest teeth I've ever seen on a ratchet. But it needs to be serviced. The mechanism is really tight, oiled or something. But it did come with this, and I'm pretty sure this is not an original key, because it looks like somebody just took a piece of 3/4 inch bar stock and hammered the end just to mushroom it out, just so it would fit in there. But as you can hear, it's got some really coarse teeth in there. The way you reverse the direction is you got to pull this out, flip it over. They're not as popular as your standard ratchets where you can just flip a switch. But some people still like using them when you have an application where you're just tightening things, in an assembly line. So my plan is I'm going to try to restore this. But since the chrome is in such bad condition, what I'm actually going to try to do is actually remove all this chrome. And a lot of places there's not any left. Like down here, it's just kind of sporadic. As you can see, it looks like somebody named Arnie, or A-R-N-E, used to own this wrench. Looks like he engraved it on both sides, but this is a 3293, a Dowidat chrome vanadium, Remscheid, Germany, and then the same repeats over here. There is a screw here, so obviously this mechanism can be taken apart, but who knows when that's been taken out. So I think I am going to try to replace this. I'll try to find a 3/4 inch drive. I think Ghidorah makes one, because I'm pretty sure this is not original. Because if it was, it would actually have some chamfer, I think, over here when you're inserting that into a socket. I think first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of oil just to make sure we don't twist that head off. And then I'm just going to use this flathead screwdriver to clean out any of the gunk that has accumulated in that slot. And next thing we're going to do, we're going to try to very lightly turn this, see if it moves at all. See what we need to do. Alright, so it's not moving at all. So these flathead screws, you have to be very careful about camming them out. So I'm actually using these Philo striking cap screwdrivers. So this is a perfect application for that. So all we need to do is just hit this a couple of times, and that will hopefully loosen the rust to allow us to unscrew it. So this is the perfect application to use this hex drive on these screwdrivers. It's turning. Hey boy, that thing was really tight. Boy, it's real short too. And there's the spring. So hopefully you can see in there. Not sure where to go next Let me just scrape away the gunk in there and see if we can see what's going on. Let's give it a couple hits with the hammer. Alright, so that's how it comes out. And boy, this thing has had a hard life, I'll tell you that. It's interesting how they're using so it looks like this right here is the paw. They're using a pin. That's kind of surprising there wouldn't be more of a chamfer on that. But yeah, it's just a lot of gunk. This thing hasn't been oiled in a very, very long time. So here's a little close-up of the teeth. You can see right here there's some little chunks taken out in a couple of places. But I don't think there's any broken ones. They're just kind of chipped, I would say is the right word. But it's still definitely salvageable. You can definitely tell this side was used a lot more. And here's a close-up of that pin, so you can see these little rounded edges right in here where that shaft goes. So this is all there is to it in terms of parts. It's probably the simplest ratchet I've ever seen. Basically just got five parts here, and that's your bill of materials. It looks like those threads go down in there quite a bit more, so this little set screw or button, whatever you want to call it, it looks like that was actually used to tension. You could adjust the tension by screwing that in a little bit more. So I think the next step on this is to throw these parts in the ultrasonic cleaner, at least these small ones. And then this we're going to work on getting the chrome off. But if anybody knows about a date about when they think this was made, it's definitely old. Okay, so I got all my parts cleaned mostly through the ultrasonic cleaner. And my original plan was to actually try to strip the chrome entirely off this, but ran into a couple issues. So if I zoom in on this piece, which I already have stripped the chrome off, you'll notice all these little pitting. What I think that actually is, that's not corrosion pitting. That's actually that's like from a casting process. It's known as a exclusion, I believe. So and I actually had to take a couple thousandths off of this. I ended up just milling it down in a lathe to really reduce the amount that you're seeing there. But that leaves me to believe that this piece, at least this piece, was casted. It's not a forged piece. So I think part of the chroming process actually will fill in all these little exclusions. So I pretty much got this piece polished. So I don't think I'm going to continue forward with my plan to strip the chrome off this. So I gave it a really nice bath. It actually is not too bad. So I think I'm just going to try to polish it as best I can. So before we get into that, there's a couple of things I noticed on this piece. See, that's kind of folded over there. I don't know if that was done to kind of lock it in place, or if that was actually real damage to the thread. But we'll see if we can minimize that. The best solution to get rid of that would be to run it through a die. But I measured the size and it looks like it's a 14 millimeter coarse thread, which is one size that I don't currently have right now. So I think I can get in there with a little file. So let's see if we can get in here with a little key file. You can see right here there's another place where the threads are damaged a little bit. So that to me looks like galling. When you see that. So searching, I remembered I bought a M14 at one time and I finally found it. It was in a different stash of dies. So that's good. Now we can actually run it through a die to clean up those threads. Yeah, those look much better. So you can see this was cammed out at least once by the metal that folded over here. So I think for that I'm just going to take another small file, just very lightly. Go across the top of that. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good now. So unfortunately I don't have an M14 tap, but I'm not as worried about these threads as I was about this. So here's the other piece all cleaned up if you guys want to see it. So now what I'm going to do is use some of this blue magic and we'll see if this will polish up. So yeah, that's about as good as it's going to get, it looks like. Because I am down to bare metal here, so I don't really expect that to polish up. Because I could grind this down with a stone, but it's really not that important. So let's see if it makes any difference on the main assembly. So since that one piece was cast, I bet you this whole piece is cast as well. I wouldn't doubt it. Kind of looks like it had two halves at one time. So one more thing, you can see in here that chrome that's left in there, that's probably what the original finish looked like. And that probably looks really nice when this thing was brand new. So that's not coming out too bad. So what I'll do is I'll go off camera and polish this thing up. We'll come back and see how it looks. Okay, so I think I got it about as good as I'm going to get it. I don't think I'll ever get the relief here to get polished up because it's just way too rough. But it did kind of polish up the edges here a little pretty good. So I think we're about ready to start assembling this thing. So I think we're about ready to start assembling this thing. Just adding a little bit of 3-in-1 oil on this piece right here. Just adding a little bit of oil to this guy. Before we put that spring in, I'm just going to add a tiny bit of just grease. Just enough to keep that spring from rusting. And that will actually help lubricate the pin as well. Alrighty, so ready to put the spring in. And finally, ready for the screw. So I bought this Ghidorah coupler to go with this. So let's see how this thing works. So you can see we got the detents in there. I'm thinking that's the way that's supposed to go. It just seems kind of odd to me. This is just an adapter. Impact adapter. Okay, I see. So that's a pretty weird coupler, but I guess it works. I guess the only thing is you can't lay it down like this, or you'll... But the good thing about this design is that you don't, like the other one, you don't have to take the socket off before you want to change direction. So sorry about the poor lighting. I'm down in the in my dungeon where projects go to die. So here's one of them. I have plans to turn this water heater into a garden planter. One of the things I need to get off is this anode connection, and I tried using this breaker bar, but no luck. So let's see if the Dowidat ratchet can help. Hey, it's moving. So you got a pretty large return angle on this. Only going one tooth. So I tried all I could to get that off with that breaker bar. So this thing was just a little bit longer. It probably helped. Well, there's your problem. No anode. Yeah, this tank rusted out a long time ago. Alright, well I think that's going to wrap this up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I'll catch you guys next time.